All right, y'all. Y'all know how we do between the hours of 6 and 8 every Sunday. We bring you the Northwest Austin Council. It's the West Side people talking some West Side things because there's always a lot of things going on the West Side. So we appreciate y'all for being in attendance. You can interact with the show in various ways. We got the Facebook, the YouTube, or the Zoom. So it's whatever you choose, and let us know. And another thing, I'm gonna say this before and after. Tell people it's okay to share the show, y'all. We want this thing to grow. We want people to be involved with the conversation. We want to have robust conversation because the more individuals we can get into the conversation, the better it's going to be for all of us because we be sharing resources, facts, and some fiction sometimes, some opinions, and everything in between. But that's what makes us a community. So please share the message, share the stream, share the broadcast, let people know what we got going on up here. Today we got a special guest. We got Deontay Wilson. He gonna talk a little bit about what he been up to. He likes to capture the West Side, so that's gonna be something that I think all of y'all need to be abreast of because you never know, he might come to your door asking you what's going on. Beyond that, we got about 16 days, I think today makes out from the election. We got the runoffs going on. It's really heating up between Brandon and Vallis. Interesting enough that we got some black folks going in some directions and others going in other directions. They talking about is either progress or the status quo. So it's interesting how that's playing out. We got 14 different wards up for runoff. And essentially, you can say the same thing in a lot of those categories, whether it's status quo or progress. And so, man, it's just a lot of energy going on in a lot of ways throughout the city of Chicago. And we here for it all. And even as Steve just mentioned, the sun is staying out a little longer too. So even more energy right there. But before we get really all into the conversation, I always shoot it over to Steve first to say what you got going on, Steve.
Well, I think spring is here. We know that's already. Doesn't feel like it because still at 40 degrees out. Yesterday it was 26. It was freezing yesterday. But nevertheless, we're still having a lot of issues with violence out on the streets. Um, I don't know if everybody knew about the issue of the pregnant girl that was killed over in Belmont Cragen area about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. She was it was on Montana Street, right off of Laramie. But something went down, and I'm still not 100% what happened over there. But the thing about that is something else kicked off last night and today from the same area. So it's a lot going on around that Fullerton and Laramie area. Everybody needs to be safe over there. Watch out for each other. Make sure you make those calls to law enforcement when you see something. Say something because it's a serious issue. There's some other people were shot over just around that area that evening. I mean, yesterday evening.
Mm.
And as DeAndre said, you are officially in now.
Yeah,
right?
I'm officially elected.
So
Yeah, police district council.
DeAndre for district council piece.
Yeah.
That's right. Who's that?
Oh, I got it. There you go.
You got it. But yeah, you're definitely officially a part of the district council. So it would be what is it? Karen Winters or
Yeah, Karen Winters away. Well, yeah.
You, DeAndre
Brutus and Carmelita Earls.
Carmelita Earls.
Yep.
3 individuals that have been picked for the 15th district district council piece. And of course, we do have Angelica
Green
for the 25th district council piece. And Elise Edwards for the 11th district.
Yeah.
So these are people that's friends of Northwest Austin Council and from the community. So we wish them a very great accomplishment, or what's the word we want to say?
I mean,
achievement. Congratulations.
Yeah, facts, achievements, facts. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I seen Carmelita yesterday. She was up at NAC yesterday for an event, and we saw her down at the the 30th year anniversary for the CAPS program.
Yeah.
Awards dinner at the Hyatt down on Michigan, and what is that? Rocker Drive. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rocker Drive. Yeah, that was on Thursday. There must have been at least a couple thousand, not 1,000 people there, at least minimum. And who would ever think? But Caps has made it 30 years, and hopefully it starts to evolve a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
You
definitely
know,
need.
as the last 30 years, it's looking old.
Yeah,
Caps is
you know
starting to
what? I
look
think the
old.
biggest thing, it's interesting because Caps has a place. It definitely has a place, but the reason why we under federal consent decree is because community engagement is lacking. That was one of the biggest issue areas in the consent decree was how do you actually improve on this community engagement and how do you make people feel like they're more involved, and Caps to his point is community engagement, which is the craziest part. But I think a lot of times, because it's so police driven, you know, it doesn't make it feel like it's community focused.
Right.
It's like it's more like the police. This is what the images we want to portray. These are the events and things that we want to be involved in to show you all that we appreciate you as a community. And it needs to be the other way around. And
Right.
obviously that's the program that we've been a part of, the MPI program, where we have the ability to say we would like to do something on this day at this time, and then we get the officers to be involved in it, whether that's a block walk or a pop up or some other type of event that leads to engagement as well as problem solving, which is ultimately what we believe police should do. And my hope is that we keep CAPS in some form, and we also keep MPI in some form, and the two can come together to form a happy medium where not only are people getting the toys for tots and the senior getting to enjoy chilling with the officers, but we also are also problem solving in that capacity. We bring in people together so we can build relationships, but we also it leads us to a space where problem solving is happening that will ultimately lead to these cases being closed and some of these things that are some of the biggest issues for us in our communities. They are also being worked out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Because I talk to people. I talk to people inside CPD. Sometimes is the problem that too many officers in the ranks of the CPD are policing neighborhoods that they are not from.
Yes, that's an issue. That's an issue. But it also, you know what? It also isn't an issue.
Is we
I
got
just,
enough?
yeah.
For every neighborhood that they're from.
Well, the most interesting aspect of this mayoral race is hearing the numbers of things, and you realize, like, it's an interesting statistic, such that we're the third largest city, and we actually have more police per capita than the other cities larger than us. So that's an interesting fact right there.
But do the demographics of the police department match the demographics of the city?
They don't, and then that's another issue because a lot of people feel that try that the not the recruitment itself, but the testing and some of the other measures that they use to make sure that people can get over that hump aren't beneficial for people of color, especially. Although the numbers of Latino members joining the force are greater than those of the Black community,
Right.
so that is something that people talk about a lot. But I also was what I was saying too was I see videos, Tyree Nichols included, and there's a lot that goes on here where it's Black officers coming to their own Black communities and treat people like shit too. So that's the issue as well.
So then there's that classic thing, when a Black officer is on a majority white police force, does he or she feel the need, to prove to the other officers that, they bleed blue rather than bleed Black?
I mean, good question. This was during the George Floyd, George Floyd murder, and I was in the class, and one of my professors brought in we were doing assessment at the time, interviewing an assessment. So she brought in a woman, white woman, right, and that was trying to interview police officers about their thoughts about the George Floyd piece. And she said one of the things that struck her was that as she was interviewing a black officer, even on like off the record, that they didn't go black at all. It was blue. It was just like, it was a defensive posture about policing instead of like, she's like, I was just trying to, well, how do you feel as a black man
Right.
seeing that video?
Right.
And she said she could never get that from him.
Yeah.
So to your point, yeah, I mean, it could be that, hey, they get in, maybe they feel like I made it, I must be this way if I want to go higher, and they, get sucked into that culture ultimately. But on the other end, for example, they've acknowledged like the FOP has a racist individual that is the head of it. Yep, that's the head. That's the head of it.
Yeah.
Who openly interacts with far right wing groups and things like that.
And
says outrageous things. And those same black officers created their own sect to combat that. Right. Yeah, because they're like, we're not being treated the way we don't get represented at our trials the same way. Right. We don't have any real representation at the board level of the FOP, and just in general, that guy does not speak for us as a minority. And so they did create their own group because of that, So now how effective will that be? I think they did that almost 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They created that group. And so we got to see how effective something like that will be. But yeah, it's a challenge to be an officer as a minority.
I think like the tragedy is that for whatever reason in this country, Chicago is not the exception. The situation always seems to be, there's two sides. There's the police, and then there's the community.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the black community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had experience living in a white suburb where the police and community are a little more integrated because they all look like each other. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the black community, it's always an us versus them.
Yeah.
And so the black officers are somewhere stuck in the middle.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I agree. Yep.
And
they got to pick a side, and they're going to pick the blue side because this is their job. This is what they signed up for.
Blue is green for them.
That's what they signed up for. They're going to pick that side. I think, but what they're trying to figure out is how do we bring community into this? How do we, these same people that we come from, how do we utilize what they are capable of doing? Because, they can't do media or anything, right? And so they can't be outwardly asking for the help. But I'm sure if us as community went in protesting in the way that they're treated as officers, they wouldn't have anything to say against it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they got to figure that out,
Yeah. Well, those numbers are like you said, are slowly dropping for black officers.
Yeah, it is.
New cadets or police officers. Whenever there's a new recruit, you can literally count the black officers out of the hundreds. And I remember days that there were many, many, many black officers in the force. I want to say almost 50-50 at one point, late 70s, 80s. But it's just been dwindling for years. It's just not, I guess, a job that people want to go into.
Yeah. The incentives aren't really that great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For one thing, there needs to be a pay raise so that they can attract, Well,
they make 80. You can make 80 in 18 months.
Yeah, okay. But given the risk that the job entails in the city that they're policing, I personally don't think that's enough.
But you got to think about this. You got to compare 80 to nothing. Some people got nothing. So if you say I can make 80, people will be like, yeah.
Right, but who are you? And this gets awkward. But who are you attracting? You know what I'm saying? When the bar is kind of low, I think the salary has to attract college educated people for one thing.
Oh well, no, they dropped that.
You know what I'm
You don't even
saying?
have to have. You
And see, that's part of the problem because college educated people are more likely more comfortable with diversity. They've been on a college campus intermingling with, folks who don't look like them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and look, I'm not trying to beat up on the Chicago Police Department. I don't know how much street cred I lose by saying this. All right. But my personal experience with CPD, and trust me, I've had way more experience with them than I've wanted to have over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But my personal experience, even when they were arresting me, they were remarkably decent about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like my personal interactions with them have been on the net positive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, as somebody who's trying to be in the middle, if I'm a storyteller, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to tell give a fair take on what the people in the community feel and a fair take on people, and what the people in the department feel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be in the middle, trying to be objective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's tragic because I interacted with a number of really cool people,
Mm-hmm.
In blue.
Right.
And I think it's a tragedy that because of, I don't know, people in their ranks like John Catanzara, you know what I'm saying? Like there can't,
but and like you said, in that profession, so that's one of those forward-facing public professions,
right.
like a politician, where when people do wrong, it could be one person.
Right.
And it'd be like, oh, see,
Right,
man,
right,
that's
right,
why
right,
everybody,
right,
you know what I mean?
Everybody gets painted with the same brush.
Man,
Yeah.
but and then you multiply that by it continuing to happen. John Burge was a police officer, right? They had his whole a whole black site on Homan where they used to torture these guys and force confessions out of them.
No,
so it's like shit. I could deal with a guy saying racist things. I take that over them taking a iron to my nuts and forcing me to say that I was responsible for a crime that I know I wasn't responsible for.
Right.
Like that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And this is the history that we have with the Chicago police, such that people, they're like, I don't really want to deal with them. Even though the interactions, like you said, like myself, my brothers can attest, we've all had negative experience with the Chicago police. Sure. But like you said, we got net positive. On net over time, you're like, not that bad.
There's some cool people in there. There's some bad apples, of course.
Facts. But again, because it's one of those things, because we can hear stuff about bad teachers. How many teachers have molested somebody in CPS? Kids still go to CPS, and you barely hear people about that.
Yeah.
How many doctors done put somebody to sleep and fondled them while they were asleep? You know what I mean? Yeah. Malpractice in ways, lost patients because they did something stupid, they, all over the place. But they're not in front of the camera. They're not somebody that was really entrusted, outside of doctors, of course, to hold somebody's life in their hand, and that if they make a wrong decision, that it's going to get blasted everywhere. And so they have a difficult task ahead of them. But I'm one of these guys who believe that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
You signed up for it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to agree with y'all. I want to agree with the brothers. This Mosaic month, I've had, again, I'm gonna always say this. I got dreads on the darkest at night. On the darkest night, I got face tattoos.
Right on, brother.
And my overall percentage dealing with the police has been pretty good. And we do need the police, because without the police, it brings a lot of lawlessness. And to live in a world of lawlessness is very detrimental, because a lot of people take things into their own hands, and it doesn't really work out. We all seen maybe a few episodes of The Walking Dead. We know what happens. We've seen what happened during the pandemic, how much violence has spiked. So you do need police officers. And I'll say I've met more bad Popeyes employees than attitude police officer.
Yeah, that's facts, though. That's facts. Nah, but I
you
think.
still go get your biscuit.
Oh man, listen, you know, listen, Roman. Listen, Roman made all that noise about churches down there, man. I found myself down there like, let me go get some of this church.
Nothing's improved.
Man, on the real. Nah, but it is so. I think with this police conversation we have, you know, again going back to the mayoral piece. Now you got very opposite ends of the spectrum as it relates to policing.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's worth being said that we got to figure out, number one, how to get better officers on the force. They've taken down the requirements to the bare minimum, man. You damn near can walk out of high school and become an officer. You know, like I say, you ain't even got no experience with even working with people for real. Don't let you be from Rich South somewhere.
You know, were you a hall monitor? Yes, I was.
Okay. You know, so you barely need any type of credentials, you know, to become an officer.
I remember 5 years ago, one of the commanders told me the cadets that were coming in didn't even have driver's license.
Yes.
Because they're so young. They came in the era of Uber.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know,
but then you got to think too. And these guys are in the media, and they coming in the era of social media too.
Yeah.
So I've heard them talk about them, you know, supposed to be in roll call with their phones out doing TikToks. They're like, what the? So it's changing, you know, and the environment in which you have to police is changing as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like, which one is necessary? Do we need more law and order, so to speak? You know, I'm gonna put air quotes on that because I ain't talking about, you know, whooping people upside their head, stopping frisk and shit. I just mean having more police presence, you know, letting people know that, you know, we are for law, you know, law being enacted the way it needs to be enacted, or are we for repurposing the funds that they get, right? When we talk about defunding, we talk about demilitarization of the police, and for the vacancies that we have, reallocating those dollars so that we can actually fund programs that can help these youth that's out here running hayward. You know, so it's like, because of the time, which is more appropriate, right? And I think that's the conversation too that needs to be had as we are talking about the time we're living in. Policing will always be necessary, but it has to conform to the time in which they are going to be policing. So what is most appropriate right now?
We know just arresting people for weed and then letting them out the back door. It's for what, you know? I get it, you know, there's the public nuisance, people out here by the groves just out hanging on the streets, and they're really young kids and they're selling marijuana. But at a point, what is the happy medium? You know, you want to sell marijuana, maybe we can get you a job at the dispensary. Making more money.
Facts.
Number one. Let's make more dispensaries.
But here's the thing. These kids out there, you know, man, they're American just like everybody else. They got the entrepreneurial spirit. They out there because they don't want nobody's 9 to 5. They want to run their own show. And so what we really need is to teach.
Well, be working for somebody else though. Let's keep it a bean.
What we need to teach these kids is how to build their own businesses. If there was a dispensary that they could run, then that would be different. But that'd be too much power in the hands of brown and black people. And so we can't have that conversation.
I mean, all of this crime comes right back to economics. Every single time we don't have that conversation.
Rich people ain't out there knocking nobody in the head for, you know what I'm saying, pocket change, because they ain't got it. They don't have to do that. They have secure level of security that we don't have.
It's gonna always bring us right back, man.
Somebody else.
Right.
No, man, it's a weird fight. And I posed the question, not the question, but I posed the challenge when I went over to our sister organization, South Austin Community Coalition Council, which is on the southern part of Austin. I hate to say the southern part because Austin is Austin. There ain't no North Lawndale, no North Austin. But I posed the question at the older people at their meeting. I said, Get your young people to come back. There are plenty of properties in our community for them. Get them to come back. Get them to stay.
Yeah.
You know, be a part of your community.
Yeah.
But don't just give up. Well, it's the one
Don't
they
just
say, they all
leave.
move to the suburbs.
No.
Like, but the kids coming back. Their
Yeah.
kids are coming back.
Yeah.
I tell my brother them, I'm looking for home ownership here, right here in Austin, and it's, I believe that Austin it's been on the way up, so I'm catching the wave. I'm riding the wave rather than catching it. But they like, boy, that's stupid as hell. That don't mean like you why would you want to do that? Get your family away from here. This is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I look at it like this: if the family survived during the Great Migration to come to this place called the North, and they were in some of the worst areas, but they still survived, and they survived through the projects. Man, we tough enough, you know.
I see you came out mute.
Yeah, but but at what point, we got to shift out.
Yeah, start thriving. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Like it shouldn't, it's one thing to, fight for your community and stay in the community and be strong, but it's like when that young black brother looking for somebody to ride you, because I've been that guy before. I really think he should move out the community. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not safe. When a young black man is determined to take something from somebody, when he leaves that house, because he got whatever he got on him, it's gonna get taken, and it ain't gonna be from somebody white.
Well, I hate to say this, but same thing going on in the suburbs right now. It's escalated to the point. Well, did you see?
And the smaller rate gas.
You see a week ago, the guys went up and shot the whole family. The mother, the father, the little brother.
Oh yeah, was that Naperville?
Yeah. Naperville, Bolingbrook.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, we're running away from our own shadows. It's like, what are we really doing? Because you go in there thinking, oh, the quality of this is going to be this and that. You're taking it all with you.
Well, that's fact. I've always told black people that say they want to get away. I said, where are we going to go around the world where we're going to be accepted? No, like we're not accepted anywhere. We got to be honest with ourselves. We literally got to stick our hooves in and create community, like true community.
That's what Frederick Douglass said. Cast down your buckets where you are. You know what I'm saying? Like we help build America. We are entitled, and we need to start using that word more often.
That's a fact. I like that. That's a good word.
To a part of, what I'm saying, what America has become. So stop running. Stop running from your community. Stop running from some like safe haven, like the brother just said, that does not exist nowhere.
Yeah.
Like Malcolm said back in '64, black people still catching hell all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the solution is to plant our boots where they are. You know what I mean? Grab hold to the hand of the next man and the next sister beside you, and start coming up with creative solutions to rebuild our community, to solve our problems by ourselves, and to stop looking for outside help.
I know one of the things we got to do is we got to get some elected officials that's going to actually put some policy in place that's going to improve the lives of the community. I was talking with this guy I met over the weekend, one of the members of the district council, and she was surprised at the conversation we were having because she was like, it's not a whole lot of 35-year-olds that I could talk to with some sense like you do. And I was just like, I understand that, I'm well educated. I'm really versed in education. Education really helps me to understand things a lot differently. And so we were having the conversation about policymakers, and I told her one of the things that really gets to me is the fact that, for example, when California passed a proposition that made marijuana legal, you could see that from a mile away that when California's the leader of everything. Right now, they're talking about giving black people $5 million. If that passes in California and they give black people $5 million, we just got to hold on a little longer because it's coming to Chicago. That's just what it is. California is a nation leader as it relates to progressive policy.
California is like the 6th or 8th largest economy.
Facts.
Period. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. So when it happened, I was like, okay, bet. And in my mind, now I'm not in the game like that, but I studied because I was investing. So I'm not in the game, but I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some legislation in Chicago at some point. So let me start buying me some marijuana stocks. When that legislation came, though, it was written by a white woman. Not to take nothing away from her, but we was in them rooms where the black folks was mad. Why the fuck we ain't getting nothing where our equity at? And in my mind, well, why the fuck didn't the black legislators write the policy that gave us the equity? Why would you wait until she did it? Right? Our elected officials don't be having their antennas up. We got the wrong people representing us. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's just what the case is, because they're not creating no progressive policy that will really improve our lives. You know what I'm saying? They be waiting until it's too late. That's a problem to me.
That's the problem with us black people. We always wait for each other to pull each other up. That's not how the world works. It's not going to be a black person that's going to pull you up. Don't get me wrong. I've had some great, valuable help from black people, but I've had better valuable help really from white people. You feel me? It is what it is. And at the end of the day, it's like, I will never expect for a black politician to just pull me up. They're not going to do that. You feel me? There's going to be a white person that's going to help you out and pull you up way before somebody else color. All skin folks ain't kin folks.
Yeah, I learned that in politics now.
Even in Africa.
I learned that in politics.
That's going to help somebody from Nigeria just because they from Nigeria. That's not how it works. We have to have the same mindset. It's all about mindset and commonality. Hey, I believe in not stealing from you. Do you believe in not stealing from me? No, not really. Well, you not my kinfolk.
Well, let me say this.
All right.
I guarantee you that white person that you speaking of wasn't a broke ass white person. Because both of y'all be looking at the money in your pockets. That person had to have some money.
You guarantee they wasn't?
Yeah, they weren't.
Broke. Because the people with it, it's economics. It all goes back to economics. You could be any color. If you got that money, you have the ability to assist. But if you don't, what you gonna do? Point over there. Now you got one thing you have forgotten is that the black elected officials have been able to sustain. They've been sustaining for a long time. But they may not have been progressing as much as we needed.
Yeah. No, we don't need to.
Because a lot of these black people don't even recognize black elected officials who have done. If I would ask you, what is Kimberly Lightfoot, our leader of the Black Caucus in the state senate, what has she done? What would you say? You probably say, who's Kimberly Lightfoot, first and foremost. But
I'm 100, I'll say that.
Right. But there are things that they are doing. We just are not, in the midst of all that. Then another thing that DeAndre just said, he said education had afforded him to be able to speak to these people. No, education had afforded you the right to be in the room. Because I'm going to tell you, you could be the smartest person in school. You could be the stupidest person on the street. And guess what's going to really happen? The education puts you in those rooms with those people so they'll allow you to have those conversations. You would never be able to have those conversations if you were non-educated person.
Yeah, the education gets you in the rooms, but the street smarts, what you learned out here, is what helps you thrive.
If you got them both. If you got them both.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the reality. But I used to sit back and think, man, the most educated people are the ones that thrive. They do. But it's because you spent that money, they pay for them books and them classes. You learn things now, but that ain't the real learning. That ain't the real test. The real test and lesson is when you get in those rooms with those people.
Right.
I'm a good Catholic boy. All right, but my real philosophy is Pan-Africanism. Right. I think that I understand I hear the sentiment that the brother just expressed. There have definitely been white people who are in my life that I love, who have helped me and supported me. You know what I mean? We could talk about, Father Larry Dowling all day long. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But I also can't ignore all the help that my people have given me along the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
that's a good point.
It's unfortunate that my people don't have the same resources
Right.
that other people have. My people have always come through for me any way that they could, even if they couldn't put nothing in my pocket.
Well, Larry Down's a great example. He ain't got no money, but he knows where
He knows where it's at. He knows where to point you toward resources.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, resources. All right. I don't think that white people are just in general more kindly hearted toward black folks than black folks are toward black folks. There are maybe a select handful of white people who really do see the problem and want to do something to help. That's been true throughout the history of America, certainly. But the progress that we have made as a people, both socially, both legislatively, economically, even, has always been working in concert with each other. I mean, we could talk about Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what my people are capable of. And it breaks my heart when I hear my people, maybe talking about working with other people rather than each other. That's where we really need to start. I'm not saying no other people can't help, but it starts with each other.
That brings me back up again to the conversation I was having with the young lady, right? And I told her, being in politics, as a young upstart, when I first ran in 2019, before I did that, I went to my elders that was already in position. I asked them, what does it take?
Yeah.
They gave me BS answers, and they tried to run me around the block. You know what I mean? Because what they see is a young black man that could ultimately usurp them, right? They might have just got their power. They might be greedy, however it's going to be. And she's like, well, brother, what do you think Dr. King had to deal with? Because he was 20-odd when he started doing what he was doing. What do you think he dealt with? I said, well, hold on now. If you're talking about something that happened 60 years ago and we still doing it today, well, then that's a problem, right? Like, and I called it out last week. I was saying we got idiot elders too, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we need to like, come on, man. Like at some point, though,
I get you, bro.
Let's break that cycle, though.
I get you. And that it becomes a matter of you got to use discernment. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
To know who's giving you good advice and who's giving you advice that ultimately benefits them. I get
right.
That. All right. The crabs in a bucket mentality is the thing that will always and forever stymie our progress as a race. All right. We ultimately do more damage to each other than any other outside community could do to us. And this is maybe a page that we need to take from the book of our Jewish brothers and sisters.
Facts.
All right.
Facts. Because we need to call them to the table. Hey man, how y'all did it?
When they stuck together.
Facts.
Okay. No matter what the outside forces around them were doing, they stuck together. They lifted each other up. When there's somebody in our group who comes along who could be a standout and who could push the group forward,
right.
We try to cut that brother down.
Facts.
We try to cut that sister down.
Facts.
Rather than saying, you know what, this is the person who can help drive us forward.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's push resources toward that person. That's what we need to start doing.
And that, when I got more heavily involved in community and politics, that's what that really resonated with me. Because before that, I was trying to get on the path where I wanted to build my own business and figure that out, but I got involved heavily in community. And then as I got involved in it, I'm like, boy, this toxic. Like y'all, like the way we treat each other, and we supposed to be the ones that service in the community. Like this so backwards, man. Like why does it take for me 6, 7, 8 years to be in your face showing you the capability that I have, and you're still not support? Like that's not. I don't like that. I don't think that makes sense.
That goes back to slavery, though.
Yeah, but again, no, because at some point when we talk about
that's because black people don't take responsibility. They don't take accountability. They don't take accountability. A lot of us don't. And that's the issue. It's like they can see a young black brother doing the thing, but a lot of us don't care to date outside our race. They cherish black men when we date outside their race. You feel me? We don't cherish each other. That's why we don't reciprocate that same type of help, and that's why we don't look outside. What you say? Or what you say? You heard Paul Ballard speak. Not saying you going for him, but you say you resonated with how he speaks, and he speaks really good and elegantly, and he says the right things. Was the other person that donated to you? He called you and said, "Hey, if you need more donation, hit my line up." No black person did that for you.
No, I told you.
Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you like this: Harriet Tubman had a rule for Negroes like you. First thing she would say, you can take this bullet, you get them boots. Because if you gonna come across, you can't be talking about the white man's water is the best water. Yeah. You got to move with it. You gotta, like Miss Jacobs say, she out on faith. She go out on faith, and you gotta put a little faith in some things.
Yeah.
And I get the whole, you get let down, you get set back, but you know what? If you can't count on your own, you ain't counting on nothing.
Nah, I feel it, but we need to break the models. We talk about generational curses in our own homes that need to be broken. We need to establish new paradigms at home. We need to establish new paradigms in community. At some point, somebody got to be, and I feel like I'm the torchbearer for that. Man, give me a couple young folks. Come on with it, brother. Let me show you where the money at. Let me show you how to do this, how to do that. You can ask anybody through this election. I don't care. My brothers was calling me crazy for helping people. Hey, bro, what are you doing? You know you in the middle of an election, right? Bro, man, I'm just helping motherfuckers, bro. Listen, if it ain't for me, it ain't for me. But I'm going to help people get to where they need to go because I want to see the best people, the right people. You feel me? Now, I keep telling my new electors that we got to show up different, regardless of what people may think. Only 35% of the people voted this year, last election, and the election before that. So we as new electorate have to be different in terms of politicians to reach the 65 that don't vote. So we got to show up different. That's what change in paradigm and community mean for me. So I don't want to be that guy who, because I've been sitting in this seat for 20 odd years, I just want to sit there. Nah, let me get out the way. Here, what you want to do? I'm 35.
So let's talk about those other 2/3. Who are the other 60,000?
65%?
Yeah, 65%. Who are they?
Shit, whoever registered to vote.
What I'm saying, who do we think they are? Are they just disenfranchised people?
They're people who have become deeply cynical, who think that no matter who they vote for, if they come out to vote, nothing is going to change anyway.
Right.
Back to Harriet Tubman. The bullet or the boots. You get these boots on and run with it, and you take this bullet and stay out my way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can't continue on that path because what's going to happen to America is it's going to become just like the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Everybody's just, that's the Kremlin. We ain't gonna get no more than we got.
There's this you take some kind of political theory class. They're like in school. There's this idea called the aestheticization of politics. It's the idea that politics is such a dirty business that the pure people stay out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And because they do, then it continues to be a dirty business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If it's ever going to change, then the good-hearted people have to get in and get involved.
Facts.
And honestly, like these last 4 years since I've been back home personally, it has ultimately left me optimistic, man, because I meet, I'm not terribly old. I'm older about like 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
I've met younger brothers like this man here, and it gives me hope. Like there's this awakening in the spirit of activism that this next generation, is in the middle of, and so there's hope for the future, man.
Facts. It's definitely hopeful. And again, we gotta set a new narrative and break the chains of what has already existed and figure out. And I do want to be clear about this too. One of my charges, one of the things that I'm definitely willing to do is to meet with the elders and ask for the help that I need. I want to have those conversations. I want to know how do I not duplicate the efforts that you've already done so that we don't end up in the same place that we came from? Because I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I will readily tell a person I don't know everything,
Yes.
but I'm not gonna let you tell me anything either though. You're gonna have to break it down for me and tell me this is why you need to do it this way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very open to learning, and I want to be around the elders, right? I sit all the people I'm around. Since I've been around Steve, I always said I'm the youngest man in the room, and I didn't never mean it as a slight. I meant it as we need to get younger, and I also meant it as I'm here. Teach me some things.
Yeah.
I'm open to learn. I keep coming back.
He's open to learn from me too.
Facts. Be open to learn from me, and
Right,
then when that time come, push me. Don't be just there like, oh man, that guy's going places. No, push me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that's what we need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need
We
that.
gotta have the hand-to-hand synergy. You must have that. But it's something that just rings in my mind over and over. Like me coming up in the ranks of older people, for many, many years. Always being the youngest and the person that was always, hey, go get the door, you go do that, that kind of stuff. But you learn from that. You grow from that. You understand things, especially when they say, hey, we're not doing this like that. You question it and just say, sit still.
Yeah.
Sit still. Then the picture comes on and you go, oh, this is why they wanted me to sit still. I mean, that's you can question your elders.
Yeah.
If they gonna break it down to you,
Yeah.
sometimes they want you to be able to, that light bulb come on in your head,
Right.
just transferring it over. Man, it's deep. It's deep. I'm gonna give you an example. When I ran for alderman, I called the police station. I knew the secretary to the commander, known her since high school. She said, "Steve, you ready for alderman? How you want to do that? You want to be like this?" She literally put the position down.
Yeah.
I'm like, "But you a cop,
Yeah.
and you out here killing people." So, what is the what's the word? What do you call it? What's it with H? Hypocrisy. That would be so hypocritical. And I didn't know how to take that because I was like, if she said I'm corrupt, or she said, Steve, I never see you to be in the midst of people like that. And I just didn't know how to take it, other than thinking.
That's what Tay was saying though. People have this idea.
She couldn't see right where you at. She couldn't see you greater than what you is because you wanted to be somebody greater and make an impact. See, no, don't be like them. Stay like us. Stay like us. Stay complaining.
Sometimes people don't like that just because they may not have a good reputation or a good opinion of those who are in those roles. Because I know that was me. Like I didn't have a healthy opinion on some of the politicians that I saw. So I'm like, why would someone who I love here and I know you got a good heart, I don't want to see you get in that role and be corrupt. That's sometimes where that perspective comes from.
Well,
that's a hater perspective. Like that has nothing to do because you see one corrupt person, you don't blame. You don't say don't follow them because they corrupt. That's how white people think about black people. Oh, they see one bad white person, make everybody bad. So that's no way to look at it, at all.
That's not just one. I'm not saying.
And also, you got to think about it. It's probably a female perspective.
Well, that's fine. I am a female, but it's also just not one person. From what I see, and I'm not saying that it will always continue to be that way. Even those people who are in those seats didn't start off that way. Like it starts off, where people want to make a difference. They desire to see change, but then when they get in those seats, they over time become corrupt. It's over time they, fall into the way of the system. They fall into the way of, hey, I can't be or let me join them. And let me say this as well. Sometimes it's because they're not getting the right support from the right people. So we talk about here only 35%, of our people actually voted. Well, then guess what? Those people in those seats, they're not really, from what I see. This is a different perspective from what I see, from what I've heard from others. Well, they're not going for their own people; they're going for the people who are actually supporting them and voting for them. So then that leaves us in a support as, you know,
Well,
the right support that we need as Black people.
yeah, I mean, well, so that's true. I do want to say that speaking to Tay's point, what he said was that 65% of the disenfranchised that believe that politics are bad, and these people, they have a negative connotation. So before at least very well could have been one of the 65, right? The 65 percenters, but she's a community leader. In fact, she's one of the district councils. So she's tasked with changing the perception of the people around her who don't vote of what a politician, what an elected will be. So she's gonna have to serve differently, and then to the point, um, you get in, and what you realize is that this is a system, and the system, like they spook that sat by the door. You get in, you learn the system, you give it back to your people, and you teach them what this means to be a part of this. You don't hold on to all the knowledge, but again, in a lot of ways, these people be afraid to lose their job. So you also recognize that in order to keep this job, I have to reach out to the people that will support me. There's nothing against it, but that's how you're gonna keep this job. That's how you're gonna keep this cushiony over 6-figure job that I could make almost 200,000 almost by having a part time. That's a part time job if we're gonna keep it a bean. You know what I mean? As an alderman. And then the last piece I want to say before I pass it is that committeeman position is huge. People don't recognize that committeeman is the one that's actually supposed to organize the community, supposed to educate the community, set up the voting apparatus, and let people know what's going on. And so when they connect, so when you both got the alderman being also the committeeman, that's the Fox Gardner hen house. I don't have to go out and build no new electorate and get people involved because I know what I need to do to keep this job. So so dual purposes, and of course you ain't finna do two jobs as good as you gonna do one. So these guys that's the commitment, they ain't out doing nothing. I mean, you don't get paid for the job, but they ain't doing shit. It's a powerful position for the people that understand the power behind it. But for the ones that's not initiated, they don't know, and that's why they don't really go after it. They don't really care about it, and so all that leaves is for us as the people feeling like, well, who's doing what about what? And then it comes back to, oh, you know what? The same person that's supposed to go out and build the ranks is the person that's in the position that they only need to lean on certain people so they can get reelected. Oh, that makes sense. But until you understand that process, until you understand that part of it, you're gonna be forever being like, why is it scratching your head? Why is things the way that they are? You know what I mean?
Can I make one little point?
Yes, sir.
It's a complete tangent. I appreciate the female perspective, and I think that one of the barriers to progress is that we as the brothers, we can't even imply that a perspective is somehow less relevant because it is female. We need to be in better balance. Even on the individual level, there's masculine and feminine energies, and you need to balance it out if you're going to coexist in the world with other people, and be a good human. And, I think that part of the problem in our community is that men should be taking more of a lead. But being a leader doesn't mean being a despot. It means, hearing the opinions of others around you, especially the female perspective, and taking that into account as we lead our community forward.
You're talking? We hear you. Yes, sir.
The other thing is politics. It's a weird sport. I remember when I ran white guy named Jerry Kirk. Matter of fact, his cousin was Mark Kirk, Senator Mark Kirk from Illinois, and he had a brother that worked was chief of staff for Anita Alvarez, which was the state's Cook County State's attorney. He said, Steve, you got to realize if you go into politics, you got to drop yourself into the cesspool of all the muck and poo and everything else, and you got to come out of it at the end smelling like a rose.
Clean.
So that's the key.
Yep.
And I'm like,
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. No, not at all.
I don't think power corrupts. I think that power does attract some very corruptible people.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we as a people, we got to look at this a little different. We got to start unpacking this the right way and utilizing it because it ain't tomorrow no more.
Yeah.
It's now.
Yeah.
It ain't no more tomorrow. We've been talking tomorrow for so long. Somebody said that just now on the show. They were like, what do we really where are we really at? What are we really trying to do?
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for what? You said 60 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Probably longer than that.
Way longer than that.
Yes, sir.
Way longer than that.
Hey, we're going to, unless anybody got any comments or questions, we're going to go to the next segment. But go ahead. Anybody out there? Comments or questions? Who we got? I know, I think that was Latrice. Was Latrice there?
I don't know if Latrice jumped on.
Was it? No.
I mean,
I'm not
we
sure
got
there was.
some people on.
But we're gonna move on to the next segment because I'm sure you got a lot to unpack. And everybody gonna have a lot of questions with that.
Right on.
But at this point, we want to introduce to you Deontay Wilson, aka Tay,
Yeah, just call me Tay.
Westside Tay,
Yes, sir.
and he's a filmmaker, producer, director, playwright.
Yes, sir.
And where'd you go to school? Again?
I went to the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco.
There you go.
That's where, Denzel and Nicolas Cage and Annette Bening and Elizabeth Banks and all those people went to. So it's probably, well, it was. We closed our doors recently, that's right. But it was the most prestigious performing arts degree granting institution on the West Coast.
That was in Oakland or
San Francisco. Yes, sir.
There you go. Well, we want to introduce him and let him talk about his latest project, which is about to have a premiere.
Yes,
We
sir.
want to make sure that everybody out there knows and can come out and see it.
Yes, sir.
And Deontay Wilson talking about Westside Stories.
So yeah, man, first of all, man, Los Angeles is probably my least favorite place in the whole world.
Mm.
And so I never had a desire coming out of school to go Hollywood.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I always, it's important to me to keep my work close to the street and inspired by the street, because that's what I grew up with, And so, life takes its weird twists and turns, but I kind of got off my path. But the last few years, being back home, partnering with, he's talking about Father Larry, it certainly helped center me, refocus me, and put me back on my path. And so, 4 years ago, I started this little documentary film series called Westside Stories. The last installment, Paradise Lost, just won the Crown Point International Film Festival. It's a local festival, you know what I'm saying? I ain't getting the big head over the shit, you know what I'm saying? It's a local festival. It's not Sundance or Tribeca, you know what I'm saying? But it means the world to me to be honored by my city, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what this piece is about, and that's the people of my city is who this piece is for, the West Side in particular.
Right.
And so we're going to be premiering it at the K. Rain Center for the Arts here in Austin, April 27th.
Is that the right pronunciation?
I believe it's K.
Ryan.
K. Ryan Center of the Arts.
On Washington and Parkside.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
Right here on the West Side.
April 27th, kicking it off at 6 o'clock.
A lovely facility too. Great facility.
Beautiful, state-of-the-art facility, man.
Yeah, I think they put like $3 million plus in there.
If you are on the West Side, if you are from Austin in particular, man, you need to, even if it's not for my stuff, you know what I'm saying, you need to go and take advantage of that facility.
Yeah, for sure. They have a lot of cool stuff going on at the K. Ryan for sure.
Yes, sir.
I didn't mean to throw you off.
Oh no, brother, no, it's all good. So this is being done, primarily because of my connection to, this really fabulous gentleman named Rich Daniels. Rich Daniels was the music director for the TV show Empire from Fox. And
Any connection to Lee Daniels?
They are actually really good friends.
Okay.
They consider each other brothers from another mother.
All right, bet.
Yeah. But Rich is this really great guy who has been friends and associates with Father Larry for many years. And me and Rich connected about 3 years ago through Father Larry. And he's read a lot of my writing and seeing my work, and so I'm very, very fortunate that he has become somewhat of a patron,
Mhm.
and a champion for the cause.
Right, right.
So he hooked this thing up at the K Rain for me. K Rain. I want to pronounce this correctly.
Some people say Current Center.
Yeah,
Current
I'm gonna say
Center,
KCA. I'm just gonna say KCA.
So I just got Caroline.
Caroline.
Somebody that's Caroline Center.
All right. Okay.
Caroline.
I'm just gonna say KCA. That's safer. But he hooked this thing up, and so there's going to be a CBS story a few days before the premiere about me and Father Larry. He's my executive producer, and I really could not have accomplished this without him. CBS is going to do a story, and then Jim Williams from CBS is going to moderate the talk back afterwards. We'll have a nice little reception afterwards. Come get your drink on, come get a bite to eat. We'll take care of it.
And they're gonna be showing.
They're gonna be showing my film Paradise Lost. It's only about an hour.
Okay.
Less than an hour.
That's the 27th.
April 27th. Yes. It is about the story of the West Side. And this dovetails, from what I was talking about earlier,
Oh, so I fully expect Barry to be there. I see Barry on the line. Anything about the story of the West Side, I expect you to be there, Barry. And report back, man.
Father Time, aka the Don Quixote of the West Side.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Kenny.
All right, what's going
Haven't seen
on,
you in a long time.
Brother Barry? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Right on, man. Good to hear from you.
Thankfully. You
Yes,
look
sir.
like you're doing good.
Oh, brother, I'm blessed. I have no complaints, man. I have no complaints. I have a number of complaints. I have a number of complaints, Barry. I have a number of complaints, but nobody, it ain't gonna do no good nowhere.
Right.
So.
You ain't gonna be the sound.
No, sir, I ain't gonna do that to you.
But he was just talking about releasing the premiere of this movie.
Yeah.
Or document.
It's a documentary, yes, sir. Yes, but it's a film, man. I love the cinema, so everything I do has a cinematic twist to it. Yeah.
And that's never been done on the West Side ever.
I don't think so.
I can't say I have.
And it's important, like I said, from our earlier point, it's important that we tell our own stories, that we not wait for somebody from the outside to come in and do us a solid.
Right.
I belong to my people. I am your artist. And I know that, don't nobody know my name yet. And that's all right. But I'm out here trying to tell our story. And so I'm completely honored that KCA is willing to do this for me.
Yes. We're gonna make sure we get a lot of people come out. It's free, right?
It's free.
Right. Oh man,
Free.
free meal,
Free drink, free,
Sounds like
popcorn. That's the first popcorn. It's movie night for free. Yeah.
And that holds about what? 1,500 people?
Yep.
Yeah. So we need to get people out.
Yes, sir.
Get a busload of people out.
Yeah.
Get a bus. Senior night. What's day? That's Thursday.
That's
right?
Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah, that probably be the best way to do it
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
the bus.
But it's
Congressman.
I should hope that because he's in the film,
Yeah, I saw him.
as are you,
Yeah, I saw him the other day. I forgot to remind him, but he was
as is our
campaign mode.
former alderman from Lawndale, Michael Scott, is also in the film.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're watching or anybody out there knows them, but please spread the word. I would love to have them there. I sincerely appreciate their contribution. Steve's as well, man. I mean, Steve has been, when I was talking earlier about Black people, my people who've always come to bat for me, Steve is one of those brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, real talk. Every time I've ever needed Steve, he's been there for me. He's delivered for me. Steve Robinson is one of those brothers that I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And so Steve technically is family now. You know what I'm saying? Like, his cousin just married my mom, a year ago.
Oh, okay, bet.
I love this brother. I respect this brother. I adore this brother. And so, you know, Steve is one of them dudes.
Yeah, you gotta
I
put
said
it
to say,
full
yes,
circle. You gotta keep the circle right and tight
Yeah.
for everybody. For everybody. Man, if there's one thing I could do in the world, man, is just get people to understand how small the relationships are.
Yeah.
You know what they say,
6 degrees of
there,
separation.
there you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody's connected one way, some way, somehow. You know?
Which I guess segues into this next opportunity, man. So Rich Daniels is producing a 1 hour PBS special about mental health in conjunction with the Kennedy Forum. The Kennedy Forum was started by Patrick Kennedy. Patrick Kennedy is Ted Kennedy's son, his youngest boy, JFK's nephew. Right. So I don't know if you remember Patrick Kennedy's story, but he was the congressman who, you know, drove his car into a barrier in the Capitol building like 2 a.m. because he thought he was late for a vote.
Damn.
You know,
Wow.
he was messed up on prescription drugs and all kinds of stuff. And so he wrote this book, A Common Struggle. And I would highly recommend that you pick up the book. I've had my own struggles, you know what I'm saying, with mental health and addiction, you know what I'm saying? And so the book definitely spoke to me. And so we're doing this project. Rich Daniels hired me on as a writer and as kind of a technical consultant.
So now we're gonna need those tools. I gotta do
So I've been doing, you know, some writing and some co-directing on this project. We're going to be filming Patrick Kennedy over at the at Loyola University, the Core Boy Law Center, this coming Wednesday. I was tasked with writing the speech that he's going to deliver for the show, and then I'll be, for the most part, you know, running the shoot on that day.
What time is that?
It's going to be between 2 and 5 p.m. at the Core Boy Law Center.
Wednesday is
23rd, 22nd. Sorry, 22nd. Yes.
23rd. Oh yeah, that's
Is that the debate?
yeah with
The mayoral Nether Forum. Mayoral
Right.
Forum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
good time to have something to pass out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll be there for that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, so yours the day before or day
Mine
after?
is the no. I'm my shoot. I'm filming Patrick Kennedy.
Oh, the shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
This is just yeah. But the premiere for my film.
Yeah, Paradise Lost.
Yes, sir. Paradise Lost, April 27th.
Oh, okay. So he's
This
right.
PBS thing is a completely separate
Right.
thing. That's coming. Should be premiering at the end of the summer. If not at the end of the summer, there's space. PBS's line up in October.
Yeah. So do you have any material that you could pass out about Paradise Lost where we could pass it out during the forum?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Get that.
Yeah.
Get that to us.
Yeah.
Get that out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely do that.
So you want to give them a little sample taste of what it really is.
Sure.
Go ahead. You got something?
Hmm?
You got something you want to show?
Oh,
You just want
We should also push it on the Facebook calendar to let people know.
Yeah. There's we just finished making up the flyer for it. Rich Daniels hired you know, some people to come do some art direction for the premiere. So we do have a flyer. I can email that to y'all.
Yeah.
Later.
Okay. Sounds good. And y'all got any questions about the premiere? Anything about the Westside Stories y'all want to know?
I do.
Yeah. What's up, Tiny?
All everything is great. That's great. Now, is this the young man that came me over at St.
Yes, sir, brother Tiny. How you doing?
I'm doing just great. That's great.
Right
And
on.
listen,
Yes,
is
sir.
it possible that I could get a copy of my interview with you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that for you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's about to happen.
Yes, sir. I thank you. Again,
So the whole Peacemaker's finna be there, right?
Are you?
I said, so the whole Peacemaker's finna be there then.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we will go.
April 27th.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Show up, show out.
Yeah, I cut you off. You were saying what about?
No, I was just saying, Brother Tiny, that's another one of those brothers who comes, came through.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
anyone else have any questions for Tay Wilson, producer, director, extraordinaire, making it happen on the West Side?
You mentioned that there was
I'm sorry.
did I hear you say?
Oh no, I was just saying that I was saying that I put a cinematic twist on everything. So it's not, it's not gonna be the standard documentary film experience. It's a little different.
And is there some message that you want people to come away with about the West Side?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That it is one of the most special places in the world. I've been fortunate to see other places in the world. There's no place quite like the West Side of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
There is a story here that resonates across all major cities in the North. It's the same story of Black people coming up here, generations ago, looking for opportunity
Mm-hmm.
and finding ultimate disappointment.
Mm.
And so, yeah, what I hope that people will go away with, will walk away from this thing with. And again, this is just one installment in the series of more stories to come. But this particular story is really about where we started on the West Side. It's an origin story. There are more layers to come, but the point of this project is to find out, is to learn about where we started, and hopes that'll shed more light, hopes that it'll contextualize where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And point us in the direction.
One of the things I wanted to ask is, what exactly is the West Side? Like, what's where are the boundaries of the West Side?
Well, when I talk about the West Side,
Yeah.
West Side for me
Mm-hmm.
means Austin,
Mm-hmm.
East and West Garfield Park,
Mm-hmm.
North Lawndale,
Mm-hmm.
Little Village. Those are the
Okay.
communities that I focus on.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no humble.
Yeah, that's all. That's the first thing. And then my South Lawndale.
I figured you would say that.
Yeah.
Because so during the Great Migration,
Okay.
South Lawndale was actually home to. It was more like Little Bohemia.
Okay.
There was a very, very vibrant Czech population there.
Okay.
Okay, they saw the migration coming, but they also saw an increase of an influx of Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
They had to make a choice. Who would we rather live with? Black folks or Latin folks? And so they started making physical changes to South Lawndale in order to make it more attractive to Latin folks rather than African Americans. So I include Little Village because it's a part of the story.
Okay.
I mean, it's its own separate story.
Yeah.
If I was focusing on the history
Oh
of
man.
Black folks,
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Chicago,
That'd be dope.
But I've included it because of the part that it plays in our story.
Okay, that's
When you say West Garfield, that's still, I think of the old boundaries, the old boundaries that went all the way up to like North Avenue or Grand or whatever, before they start calling it Humble. So
yeah,
that's understandable. But you know what? It's funny you said what is considered the West Side, because to a South Sider, Lawndale, they see that as the West Side. Yeah, West Side see that as the West Side, but technically it's South.
South of Madison, for sure.
Madison, certainly, yeah.
You know what? makes me think. This is a sidebar, but I wanted to get this out before I forget. I have one of my colleagues is doing their dissertation on founder syndrome, and so they're using nonprofits. So if you come across anybody that you know that, and I know obviously Steve is a nonprofit, and some of you other folks on the phone are involved in nonprofits, and so he's actually looking for participants for his study. It'll be an interview, and he's looking for people that have worked either with or I just want to say with to make it as easy as possible. At some point, connected to the founder of a nonprofit organization, and he just want to ask us questions based on that. So, like, if you
I know.
right, yeah, I know because we talked about founder
I told the
syndrome,
story about
and
it.
so so if you know anybody that you've connected with along the journey that is involved in nonprofit or that might have come up, let me know. I'll send out his information to you. So you just looking for interviews right now. Yeah, so that's a sidebar. I just want to put that in there.
It's a weird phenomenon.
Can you explain it to me?
Pardon?
Founder syndrome. Can you explain it to me?
Well, founder syndrome is when the most prolific person from an institution or an organization is so well known that people just feel that this is the go-to person, and then in their own mind, they think they're the go-to person, that the catch-all, be-all, beginning and the end. I say that very much well because of our organization, Northwest Austin Council. Even today, I hear people say, "Oh, Miss Fan was the person that started NAC." Miss Fan came 10, 15 years after NAC was established, and people want to say because she was the most prolific, most well-known, that's what it is. What I'm hearing lately is people say, "Oh, that's Steve's organization." It ain't my organization. It's still a community-based organization. You are a part of it if you live, work, or worship within the boundaries of the organization. Your participation can be multiple. You could be a member of the board. You could be a member of the executive board. You could be a member of the organization by dues paying. You could be a member of the organization just by living, working, or worshiping within the boundaries. But by no means, I knew this when I was younger with the organization. I said, I don't want to be like the little people. I don't want to be by the time I turn 60-something years old, I want to be able to contribute as like an advisor and support and do whatever I need. I see myself as a sustainer of trying to keep it going because there's so many people that have passed on. Who's that? But yeah, that's by no means. I definitely would not want to be considered one that would be known as a founder.
Yeah,
I want to push on and pick up and support and from the background.
I think so. Included in that is sometimes people look at founder syndrome as having uh, the founder of an organization having difficulty letting it go.
Yeah.
Right.
Meaning that the practices and everything of the organization, they want it to remain the same where it's clear indications that change is needed.
Yeah.
And so with everything Steve said, but also included in that too, because I think part of like with my friend's study, he wants to look at that phenomenon in the regard of people holding on in spite of everything saying that things need to change, and that is the part of founder syndrome too.
This is what I've learned, and I'm 42 years old, and I'm not an old man, certainly by any stretch of the man. I certainly feel like one. You know what I'm saying? Some mornings, you know what I mean. But one of the main impediments to success is personal ego.
Oh yeah.
And so if you're leading an organization, at some point you have to ask yourself the question, what's more important to me? Personal accolades and recognition for me or success of the organization?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Am I more goal oriented or accolade oriented? And so part of that getting over your ego is acknowledging that you can't do everything, and you need to put people around you who, you know,
Yeah.
who can support you in the areas where you lack.
Right.
So it also becomes, you know, important to admit to yourself what are my deficits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you age out gracefully.
Right.
Yeah.
And pass the torch to younger legs.
Yeah. Like you
And
said, become a sage, basically.
become a sage, become an advisor.
Sage. That's it.
The wisdom that you've accumulated over the years is going to be invaluable to those.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, and so what that, you know, the organization takes a direction that maybe you didn't foresee when you started it. It's a lot like raising children.
Yeah.
Who has ever raised a child that's turned out exactly the way you wanted them to when they were born?
Nobody.
It's, you got to give it the freedom to like grow and, you know, change. Yeah.
I think back on my younger years, when Miss Fan used to take me around, you know, to all the meetings. It was like, who's the young man with you? Oh, that's gonna be my next president.
Yeah.
And I would sit back like, really? I got a lot of stuff going on.
You got bigger dreams for you than I got.
I come to the board meetings, I can come to some of the actions and things that we're doing, but I'm like taking over. I'm like, man, that's a lot. It's a lot, but everything happens the way it happens.
Yeah.
She ended up, when she passed, she did that before she passed, you know?
Yeah.
Which was a good thing, you know. That it was an opportunity to make sure that I could keep the organization in a sustainable state as the community grew older and people grew older and more members of the board grew older and passed on. But it's been my goal 5 years ago to bring 5 young people to the organization a year. It's hard. It's hard. It's a hard thing. At one point, we do 5 up and we drop 3 down.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's a hard thing, you know. But what happens is those people, like DeAndre, they get older also. You know, so what do? You got to grab younger and younger. Anyhow, hey, wait. Anyone have any comments?
Yeah, I have a question for Jay. Hey, I was just reading an article today, looking at the dark side. Let me see what it's called. Embracing the dark side of life. And one of the points it made is that you can't, you know, it's easier to flourish if you've had some hard experiences, and everyone has hard experiences.
Yeah.
And one of the stats that quoted was between 30 and 70% of people who experience trauma come to the other side of trauma having grown beyond where they were before the trauma.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether there is that kind of lesson that comes out of Westside Stories.
Yeah. The lesson at the end of each installment is the same. That, yeah, you know, this community has been through some effed up stuff. But for whatever reason, you know, we're still in the fight. You know, there's still people here who are willing to fight for this place. You know, and so it's one of the things about the West Side that I think is special, and that I'm hoping to share with the broader audience. You know, the resilience of people here. You know, we have this sort of, you know, undefeatable spirit, and you know, I'm hoping as I share it with a broader audience that it'll be infectious and that other people fall in love with this place the way
We're telling the story of the West Side, Barry. Now, you know, another sidebar.
Is there hope in the story for young people?
Always.
So another sidebar. All of this stuff y'all talking about, hope, resiliency, you know what I mean? It actually speaks to my dissertation that I'm working on. I actually just completed a new, because when I sent my first, well, at this point, when I sent my work to my professor, she told me it was a too high level, too academic, and I needed to focus it down a little bit more. So I actually just completed that today before I was came to the show. And so actually, it's about developing the psychological resources of people to experience hope, self-efficacy, optimism, and resiliency. So everything that comes from breed that these community breed. If you can get to the other side of it, like you like as very saying trauma and things like, because this is what we come from. Uh, but scientifically, we would technically be termed lower resource. Because we still live amongst this, we have a sense of learned helplessness about ourselves that really contributes to having lower levels of those. Like I mentioned, hope, optimism, resiliency, and self-efficacy. So I'm actually trying to build that up in the community. And I think that that is something that is going to be explosive for our community once I finish and really, get it on the wraps. And so to that end, I bring that up because I am very close to entering IRB. And so I've talked about this before. I need organizations to be a part of this training that I've developed. And so I asked you earlier about where you consider the West Side, because for me, my study, the West Side is Austin, North and South Lawndale, East and West Garfield, and Humboldt Park. And so that's where I'm pulling from. But I'm looking for people that work in nonprofit organizations, but also they got to live on the West Side. So you could work in Lawndale and live in Austin, or vice versa, in some way, shape, or form to be a part of my study. But that's what I'm looking to do, so we can continue to build. And like Barry said, with this trauma, I want to be able to help people as they come out of that trauma, even develop skills so that they can even be more beneficial, not only to themselves but to this community that they serve, especially in those nonprofits. So for those that's listening, I do need help with that. So if y'all know organizations or people that work in those organizations that are both live and from the West Side and work, well, not that you ain't got to necessarily be from the front, but y'all live. So as long as they live and work on the West Side in those areas I mentioned, let me know so I can start connecting with them. And really get this underway, because once I get out of IRB, man.
You got
I know. I need 60 participants. So I hope I can find 60. That's the funny thing about it. Because like for example, I was at Build, right? Build employs people, but a lot of them not from the West Side. And Build one of the biggest organizations on the West Side. So I'm like, I got to thinking like, damn, can I find 60 people actually? I think I can. That shouldn't be a problem with 5 different community areas in all of these nonprofits. But that was most interesting to me. But I'm not limited because Bobby Wright is a nonprofit, and this is a nonprofit, and SAG, and all these other places. Youth outreach services. CB, and so yeah.
I've definitely connected with some nonprofits, and I'll spread the word among them.
Yeah.
Where you at?
I am not a nonprofit.
No,
Right, facts.
Father Larry certainly is, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Father Larry. Churches are nonprofits, so yeah.
What's it called?
501c3? What?
No, what's Father Larry's group called? Is it just St. Agnes?
Yeah, just St. Agatha. Yeah, I mean, and he certainly uses funnels resources to other nonprofits.
You got that. Yeah. So I don't think 60 people.
Yeah.
Man, you need an organization with 6 each, or you need an organization with 10.
You don't know AMTA? You gotta reach out to AMTA, AMTA, Advancing Nonprofits. Like
No,
you can ask who you need to be talking to. You need to be talking to Sister Hannah.
I need that info there. I need that info there.
Yeah. She's actually coming to the shoot on Wednesday.
Cool.
So I'll, whatever you got if you got something that you can put in my hand to give to her, I'll give it to her.
There you go.
And she can link you to a number of nonprofits. She's probably never even heard of one.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
That'll work.
I got you.
I need that.
List.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. And I'm just so like even part of my study is going, I'm gonna post it out in the community via flyer in the organizations. the elected officials, LinkedIn, and I'm gonna give it to
Go
the
to NTT.
nonprofits
They
to
got a whole list
do
of
it in
them.
person. Yeah, yeah, facts. So I'm gonna start making calls, but you know, I'm gonna start doing that. Actually, I'm gonna turn in this stuff tomorrow for my professor. She said give her about a week or so to look at it. Then I feel very confident in being an IRB before the end of this semester. So then it could take anywhere from 90 days to get out.
So you
But
taking written statements, or you gonna take oral statements?
no. I created a training program. I created a 6-week training program for people.
So you want to kick the training program into gear?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I need 60 people for it. 30 gonna
So
be in the control group, 30 in the
So what
experiment
do they
group.
need to do?
So this training program is about reaching a goal. So what I'm gonna do is take people through a series of steps that are based and rooted in hope, optimism, resiliency, and efficacy, and teach them how to develop uh, all they need to reach a goal.
So you're
To
gonna
make it
train
easy.
everybody in one room?
Yeah, yeah. Or I might I might do 15 and 15, like 2 days. It just depends on how people show up because I'm gonna have to find some central location. I want to do it in person, so I'm gonna have to find some central location and
We could do it here.
yeah, but that would yeah, we could. It's just all about where people coming from and if they can make it to it. So I gotta make sure that I select a location that is everybody can make it to.
It's the West Side.
Yeah, but man, you know how we be. I got the car don't work. I don't got transportation. This, that, man. You gotta.
Well, let me say this:
know how
Austin
it
probably
goes.
has the most amount of groups than anything. So
Right,
there might be 100 organizations just in Austin. So if you get 10% of them,
yeah,
you on
yeah,
track right there.
right. I mean, and that'll be cool. I would like some. You definitely would like
Yes, from
people
the
from
other
different.
locations.
So if I could whittle it down to 10, 10 from Austin, 10 from Garfield, Lawndale. All right, bet. Yeah. Like I said, my biggest challenge was just trying to figure out where everybody was going to be coming from and if they could actually come at the time that's specified. And, it's probably going to be something late, 7 o'clock, something like that.
You already
8,
know
6.
Thursdays are the best days for people to meet.
Right.
You gotta figure Thursday and whatever else.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's gonna be a survey process for that, and people gonna be able to select, and I'll send it. Yeah, I'll select it out. Like I'm gonna have to ask, hey, do you drive? Can you make stuff like that? Unfortunately,
that's gotta rub you have to ask that question.
Man,
you got legs. Do you have any ambition? Get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you recognize you're still living? Come on, now people got to give a little bit if you're trying to help.
Hey, Dre, how much you paying for people to show up?
Oh, yeah, real.
People want money. We want money. You gotta have a church chicken coupon or something.
I think what did I have? Dang, it was something that I put up in my study. I gotta refresh my stuff. But I said probably do like a random selection gift card giveaway.
Raffle.
Something like that. Yeah. Yep.
Hey man, if you have food there, it'll work. If everybody eats, they got a little plate of food, I think people will show up. It's what you gonna eat and you're gonna be working. You can eat while you doing it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if they eat, man, it's gonna be little finger foods, man. they yeah, man. Hopefully somebody out there make the little sandwiches, the little tray, little pin rolls or something.
Get a donation. We'll get a donation from somebody.
Yeah.
Like Uncle Remus or somebody.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna reach out to whoever want to support my study.
Good idea. Now, come on, now you mean to tell me you working in the Austin area? You doing something, a survey for or a training program to give people hope, efficacy, and resilience and optimism.
Right.
And make all the day donate from that old chicken. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, we gonna ask. You know what I mean? We in the stages now. Like I say, very confident that at this point I'll be in IRB before the end of the semester and starting up going into the summer semester. I just gonna have to, they gonna send back what I need and to change this. There's gonna be a back and forth. But I feel very confident about that. At least by I don't know June, hopefully sooner. I'll be. Yeah, it's time. It's time. Yeah, I'll be able to do my study though.
What degree are you working?
PhD in business psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I told him. The education gets you in that room.
Sure.
You know,
Oh,
where
yeah.
people are.
Yeah.
You would never be able to do that. I mean, some of the people that I've met through, you know, going through master's program and undergrad, I wouldn't have been able to meet these people, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, education is almost the rule, not the exception. Like if
Right.
we being honest, like there's a lot of people that can buck that trend. A lot of times they don't look like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for the most part, education is, what it takes. I mean, people have always said it's the key. But beyond that, though, it's applied, right? Like I always say, the adage used to be knowledge is power. And no, it's applied knowledge. Like
There you
what
go.
do you do with what you learn? Because you got a lot of people that went to school too, and they went to school to be, I don't know, an accountant, and they
Right.
baking cakes. You know what I'm saying? And that happens too because it's about what you apply. And so I'm fortunate enough to be a person who want to take what I've learned and apply it to the circumstances that's around me. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't do that. Straight up, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
A lot of people can't because they have to pay those tuition bills and they got to get it right away and live, and it's hard, man. It's hard.
So I'm trying to pay them right away too. I'm trying to figure out what my little side hustle gonna be. Cause I need to say I wanna be debt free by 40, man. I want all of my debt gone, my school debt. I got a nice amount of it. I'm about to, that's 200 easy. Easy.
What are Biden talking about?
I mean, they said they're gonna refresh it, but they was only taking 20 off you.
Really?
Well, hey, I'll take the dub, but we might get to a space. They done build another system of banks out. Yes, they did.
Silicon Valley Bank.
And they done built some more of them out. So we'll see. We'll see what they want to
Funny,
do.
these banks hold the loans.
They need to go ahead and bankrupt.
Tuition loans,
Mm-hmm.
and they get the money up front, and they got to go still probably look for your money because they're not deferring it over to the government. They just switch it over to another bank, and they got their money in their hands. Well, let me just say this: we got a long road ahead of us, but like they say, this is what rubber hits the road. And that means we got to put our feet down and make sure things happen. Yonder did say, we are in a runoff, but, I want to say all politics are local and all politics are based on interest.
Yep.
Yeah, always.
And I get it. City of Chicago is local. Right here on the west side, we looking at the 29th Ward right now. And that would be C.B. Johnson and Chris Taliaferro.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is we need everybody to show up and show out. Because things got to be different. That's all I'm going to say. They have to be different. And we're going to need everybody to understand that and support. So we can make these things happen. And it all comes with either, it all comes back economics, but sometimes we ain't got the economics. We got the willpower, the know-how, and let's just be real, a voice.
Yeah.
Use your voice and let people know and explain and let people know what the real deal is.
Yeah. Another thing I learned in politics outside of all skin folk ain't kin folk is big organizing beat big money. Our people got to understand it. As long as we become an organized force, and the congressman say it all the time, if we become organized, man, we could be in a totally different position. It does not take a whole lot of money. Well, how you say it? Right, well, but regardless, I ain't gonna think how you say it, but it sometimes it don't take a whole lot of big money. It take a lot of little money. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all, man.
Sound like what Barry was talking about with our networking system.
Yeah.
Our networking system isn't a hub with a bunch of spirals sticking out of it. Our networking system is a hub tied to that hub to that hub to that hub to
Right.
that hub.
I mean, think about it. If we could take 30,000 people and give $1, and we gave that pot to some person, and then that person, utilized that 30,000 to figure out how to multiply that to 300,000 and gave it right back to those same people. And then we did that same thing to other folks. And we can't do that.
So all you talk about is 3 communities, 3 wards.
I mean, man,
that's all that come out is 10,000 people in the ward.
That's what I'm saying.
Then you can
that's what I'm saying. $1. Like that's how we gotta think about it. It's $1, man.
Man on Harlem and North Avenue making over $30,000 in 3 months. Collect. You think about that. That guy out there for 8 hours, and that intersection sees about 10,000 cars a day. Even if it was 5,000, which I know it ain't 5,000, because that's a very busy intersection, and he gets what 10% of 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's $1,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. That dude making $1,000 a day. Even if he ain't making $1,000 a day, let's say he's making $500 a day. All he's doing is sticking his cup out.
Yep.
There's a lady out there now. I was just telling someone she got a baby strapped on her back and like a swaddle, and she's out there. I want to think she's selling candy. I'm like, you standing in the middle of all this deadly traffic with your baby on your back. I tell you the truth, the baby about big as her because the legs almost dragging on the ground.
Man, listen.
Might be a front. Might not be a real baby, but
man, listen, man. I don't know. Yeah, that makes me think about like how we bringing in, refugees and things like that. And we setting a lot of these refugees getting set up nice.
Oh yeah,
they get set up real nice, man.
They're right here with the AC.
Man,
there's about 30 of them right behind us, man.
And I think they're getting set up nice compared to where they're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But that also begs the question of what happens to the people that are here that have been experiencing what they've been experiencing for so long.
Right.
I'm a big champion for my community, but I'm also try to be fair-minded. I'm also a big champion in perspective. Mm-hmm. Some of the situations that some of these refugees are fleeing from, we have it bad here, but we don't have to worry about, being, having our daughters raped and sold
we get shot at.
Slavery, you know what I'm saying? Like they live in the literal war zone.
Yeah, for sure.
We have some occasional drama here, but I mean, I extend compassion to those folks. Like, I think that, it's good of America to try to do something for those folks. And it's not like each of them is getting, a brand new house and a car when they're getting here. They're getting, 3 hots and a cot. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And, some place to, recover emotionally and psychologically from the terrible situation.
What constitutes a refugee? What do you have? You have to be in a war torn?
You have to be fleeing political violence, persecution.
I thought also it was disaster driven, like
disasters, sure, natural disasters, sure, sure.
But my only problem with that is if we bring refugees here, we can't let them end up the same way that everybody else is already, in situations of need and on the streets and all this. Yeah. I mean, if we're doing that, what are we really doing?
Look, there's some structural changes that we need to make here that will be good for all communities. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you one thing I noticed. The Asian community capitalizing on the refugees. I went to the Chinese restaurant the other day. They were hiring a bunch of refugees.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
They're looking at filling their slots.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely is a labor shortage here in this country. I mean, we talk about
definitely a labor shortage,
how much we want jobs and everything, but the jobs are there. Again,
don't get me wrong, like the Ukrainians, there was a number of Ukrainians that came in as refugees, right? Mm-hmm. I heard they got to go in 7 years.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, they get to stay here, but it's not permanent. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed when I was coming home. I was coming to the office one night last week, and there was like 7 kids in the middle of the street. I mean, it could have been over 4 years old, and it was at night. Yeah. And I'm like, my headlights, I know I see you.
Yeah.
But they weren't moving.
Yeah.
So I kind of slowed, I slowed up to where the parents were. The parents were going through the trunk of the car, and I blew the horn. I'm like, we gotta get these kids out the street.
Yeah.
But they just looked at me, and they went back to going through their trunk.
Yeah.
The kids, so I'm at a snail scroll, trying to go over, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. And I'm like, it's a lot of people out here.
You can be very, very sensitive to the plight of people in your community without being insensitive to the plight of people in other communities. I got compassion for all people. Now, my primary focus is my community because you are a hypocrite. If you go out and try to help other people when you ain't helped your home first, you know what I'm saying? Help your house, get your house in order first. You know what I'm saying? So all my effort, let's say the majority of my effort is focused toward what I can do and realizing that it's not a whole lot, like I said, I'm just a storyteller. What I can do for my
community. You put your mask on first
before you can help anybody else.
Right. You gotta make sure of that. Yeah. But I totally get it.
Yeah.
Everything's
I think, but for me, this situation brings forth again, what are we doing here in America that we can't properly house individuals, but we can bring people from war-torn countries and be able to do it? But we can't properly.
We're not housing jobs. We're not housing them. We're not feeding. You know what I'm saying? Like, not. I mean, some of these people are living in detention centers. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who do. I mean, we're not providing housing for these people in the sense that they have some, comfortable living space where they can raise a family. You know what I'm saying? If anything, we're connecting some of those refugees to relatives that they may already have over here. You know what I mean? But like, just perspective.
No, and again, I'm not against the aid at all. What I'm just saying is, I wish we could figure out how to help here, because it seems like we've been in a perpetual state of homelessness and incarceration and police brutality and racism, and it's just like
that's all American way.
Can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now, brother.
Okay, cool. All right. So, listen, man, let me tell you something. This is the problem with black people, and this is why I'm hard on black people. And don't get me wrong. I understand perspectives, where these people come from, moms, and, all of that. But you know what? They don't have perspective when they think about black people. They don't. They never have compassion. You will never find a show on the internet with Iranians, Bosnians, Europeans saying I have a perspective of seeing black people. There was a lady that she escaped North Korea, and she went on a famous podcaster's show named Joe Rogan, who gets millions and millions and millions and probably billions of views a year. And she spoke about the traumas and the things that they go through in North Korea. And what she had the nerve to say on his show? And she's like, I see some other cultures, and she named African Americans complaining about injustices in America, and it's like it's funny because it's like you have way more than us. They don't. Other cultures look at it from this perspective. Put yourself in another culture. They don't look at black people's perspective at all.
Okay.
They will never
I agree.
have compassion.
I agree. I agree.
And I'm never going to look at their perspective because you know what?
Why? Why be like them? Why be like them? I don't want to be like them.
I'm talking. Now, I grew up with the perspective of I got corner stores everywhere on my block filled with Arabs, and they sell me high-priced sugar products, diabetic products. They don't go through it. They might be starving up there, but we got the diabetes up here. So yeah, I'm not. It might seem like it's better, but it's not because I'm getting fed poison. I'm getting fed sugar. I'm getting to say all of these bad things. They overtaxing us on for tissue at the convenience store. You feel me? So it's like at the same time, you feel me? You keep that perspective, like keep that bottle that in. You know, keep that to yourself.
You know, the bottle
Because some people don't got no perspective.
Okay,
at all.
I think there's some confusion here. All right, so I'm going to say it again, so it'll be clearer. Hopefully this time. All right. Having perspective about the suffering of other people does not mean that you cannot focus 100% of your efforts on what is happening in your community. I don't care about the perspective of other people, whether or not whatever their perspective is about my community, that's up to them. And if they are the kind of person that is incapable of showing compassion to another human being because they don't look like them, then I refuse to be like that person. I can keep my perspective. You're right. I can bottle it in, but it informs the way I act in the world, and it also informs the way I treat my own people. Mm-hmm. So just because somebody in North Korea, and again, for sake of perspective, they live in a police state. Okay, they don't eat as good as the poorest black person does here. Okay, the average North Korean has a belly full of tapeworms. Okay, and parasites. Okay. And they've been living in a police state for the last 70, 80 years, damn near. All right. So, yeah, it's a little different than what we experience over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not to mention CCTV. Everything is controlled over there. Yeah. Big Brother is really watching.
It's real over there. So, yeah, we got some problems over here, but it's not like over there. And as far as like the Arabs and the Koreans who own stores in our neighborhood, stop shopping there. Fact. Stop shopping there. Fact. Take your money and get you and your boys together and open your own store. But just sitting here and hating on the fact that they're exploiting our community does not solve anything. Stop spending your money there.
Yeah. Yeah, we spend a lot of money with them folks.
Time and time again, man. To break those chains.
Yeah, man.
We got it. But I do hear his point. It's like
I take his point too. But again, perspective.
Yeah, it is. But I had to put it into perspective of the slave wants to free the Israelites. Mm. It's like they're Israelites. They got their own issue. The U.S. slaves, the black slaves in America got their own issue. How you gonna free somebody when you ain't free there? Mm-hmm. I kind of get that.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to free them. I got perspective. Yeah. I learn. I look, man. I watch what happens to other people, and I let it inform. You know what I'm saying? How I deal with my people. Right. You know what I'm saying? But just because you can honestly say, "Damn, yeah, they got it pretty bad over there," that don't mean that you can't then say, "Okay, well, I can't do nothing about that right now. I need to focus on my community." But yeah, that's pretty bad. At least we ain't got it like that. But this is what they need to do to fix their situation. If I was in their situation, that's how I would fix it. Oh, shit. That gives me an idea of how I can fix my people's situation. Right. That's how it works for a fair-minded person.
Right. It's not just we're in a closet together. I'm going to turn my back and get in my corner. Yeah. Because ain't nobody going to get out of it.
No.
Ain't nobody going to get out.
And ultimately, this whole thing is a human struggle.
Yeah.
And so, learning about the struggles of other people and appreciating the struggles of other people is gonna look, man. Dr. Martin Luther King couldn't do nothing about what was happening in India, but that don't mean he didn't get some perspective from Gandhi's philosophy and use it in the civil rights movement over here. That's all I'm talking about, Pete.
Yeah. It's just hard for those with a foot on their throat. To lean over and reach over and say, "Get your foot off that other person's throat." Man,
no.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's not what I'm even saying.
I would just like for us in this time, we to understand how we can best serve people here, utilizing what is happening right now in our efforts of aid in other places. I would like to see that same effort here, especially amongst Black and brown people, but mostly Black people that have actually built this country and still don't get a chance to really take
but here's the thing. We've been asking that same question for generations now. When is America going to do for us? We look at what America does for other people. When is America going to do for us? We've been asking that question. America's never going to do for
That's
us.
happening.
Stop asking that question. It's a waste of breath. It's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
You start showing you, they're going to do for other people.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can look at that and I can say, you know what? Fine. You know what I mean? At least, I'm happy to see them not in a war-torn environment. Yeah, they got 3 hots in the cots here in America. That's great for them. All right. I see that America is not providing the same for my people, but I'm not going to sit around and bitch about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out how I can contribute to my people.
Yeah, facts.
How I can get my people together to do for ourselves. Because we already see the thing gonna do for us.
Yeah.
So stop asking and stop waiting for it. It's never gonna happen.
So being a storyteller, how do you convey that message to the people? What are you working on to be able to convey that message? Stop waiting on America. Build with your brothers and sisters. That's the only way we're gonna save us.
Yeah.
How do you do that? What are you working on to do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of my series, man.
Okay.
That's the point of my series.
Okay.
It's to tell our story and then to come up with some meaningful suggestions, some meaningful ideas, some creative approaches to what we can do differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the analysis.
So after you show the documentary, is there going to be question, answer, all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be guided so that y'all ask those questions. What do we think we should do or could do and stuff like that? Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Oh, wait, who's this? Oh, Barry. Yeah, what's up, Barry?
Enough what you just said. But then the cavalry's not coming.
It's not. We are the cavalry.
What?
We are the cavalry. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Right. And, I would love to see a message like you just did, in connection to Westside Stories.
Well, you got to show up.
Barry, I want to see you there, Barry. April 7th, 27.
27.
April 27th.
April 27th, let's get it in the calendar, in the Facebook calendar.
Are you going to come, Barry?
Why are you asking me that? Are you going?
Hell yeah, what are you talking about?
I'll keep you here what I got to do.
Oh, yeah, Barry ain't coming. See? Barry, man.
He might surprise you.
So it sounds like you're my father now.
Barry ain't coming, man. Hey, what time is it? I'm putting it on my calendar right now.
6 o'clock, man. Start time 6 o'clock.
So any other questions, comments, or concerns, so we could get it to the.
Listen, man.
You're an elected official now, man, so we make sure we give you some floor time.
Yes, sir.
Bad echo.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the echo. Why did it start coming in?
I think it was.
Oh, that might have been Barry's phone. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, again, I agree with some of the things the brother said, and I agree with that too. Stop shopping with, some of these people in the neighborhood, which are the refugees that will grow up in these neighborhoods. But again, it's okay to have perspective. Public forum. It's good to bottle that up. Amongst the brothers are off camera, both can chop it up, have that perspective, but to public again, a man do what a man want to do. You do it that will. But I will say, I just gotta stay strong on black people and black issues. And again, they call Chicago Chirac for a reason. We had more homicides and murders than they had in a war. In a war. So we are in a war-torn place, you know what I'm saying? Like this looks a little different. Yeah, they might not all be bombs, you feel me? But, we are in a war zone, you feel me? We are going through war-torn things. It just looks a little bit different. Again, we on the war of our health, you feel me? A lot of our health is impeded because of the things they sell. In Europe, they don't sell as much. They don't put as much sugar inside of their product as we do in America. You feel everyone's in their own prison, everyone in their own hell. You feel me? No one's hell is different. Yeah, you might have bars, but we got young brothers and sisters down here with switches. One like everybody has an automatic weapon now. Ain't no we are in the war. You feel me? Like you're not gonna get shot one time. You get shot 15 times. When that young brother pulled that gun one time, we got detrimental music. We got detrimental music on the radio. You feel me? So it's like, you know, it's war out here too, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, a lot of those guys will take America's wool over their wool any day of the week, though.
Yep.
For real.
Yeah, because they don't know what's going on. Really, that's why. And then a fair-skinned person coming over here got a better chance than a black person anytime. That's why you gotta focus. Stay focused on black issues. Dr. Khalid Muhammad said this. Stay focused and diligent on what we got to do as a people. You will never hear Dr. Khalid Muhammad having any compassion for nobody in the public forum because
Well, that's fucked up then. I'm sorry. That's fucked up then. You can be focused on black issues and still have compassion for other people. You lose your humanity, brother. You lose it. You lose your humanity if you do that. If you refuse to have compassion for other people, you lose your humanity. And I refuse to do that. So I'm sorry, like Dr. Khalid Muhammad has got some great things to say, but I don't listen to nobody and take their word 100% on nothing.
Yeah.
This is why black people don't come together. Because we always added other people in the mix. We're the friendliest and most accepting race on the planet. The friendliest and most accepting race. By our nature, we are not violent. By our nature, we are very friendly.
But is this the same, brother?
Move into the neighborhood. Move into a Hispanic neighborhood. Or watch them put your hand up.
Am I talking to the same brother who was just saying an hour ago that white people are more helpful to black people than black people are?
Yes, this is the same brother.
So that sounds inconsistent to me, brother. I got to be honest with you.
He got compassion.
The truth is the truth.
But that's inconsistent. But that's inconsistent. You don't tell me on one hand that you're willing to work with white people because they give you more, but then on the other hand that we need to be focused on nothing but black issues. We can't. You got enough compassion to take that white man's money?
Yes, I have enough compassion to
All right, okay. All right, yeah. You can open your heart to somebody, to another community if they're giving you something.
I'm gonna bring that money home.
My man. All right.
Hey, man. All right, that was a good note to end. Hey, y'all know how we do this thing. We do it from 6 to 8 every Sunday. Well, we bring you to Northwest Austin Council. The only thing, in closing, we like to go around the room and get final thoughts from everybody. So I'm just going to go in order what I see on the Zoom. We're going to start with Elise.
Elisa?
I'm here. I'm still gathering my thoughts of what I learned today. I am listening. I hear a lot of what was being said. I can't say this just because it's the last conversation that we are having. I really do wish we come up with our own plan on how we don't support each other.
Yeah.
That is
Agreed.
on the real. I really do hope that us as Black people, even if we got to use other people and take other folks' money home, how are we interacting, supporting, and I hear an echo. But anyway, I believe the reason why Black people don't get along is because we don't really respect one another's perspectives and opinions and just able to move in that. Other people can do that. I want us to, go past this. So those are my final thoughts. I'll go past it.
I'd agree. I appreciate that. Tiny?
Alan Elkins.
Barry?
Yeah. Hey, Jay, great to see you. Great to hear
Westside, where people come together, help each other, have a thriving community, and grassroots governing councils. And so out of those councils comes the plan and details about the story of the Westside.
Yes, sir. Barry, we gonna boycott Peacebrook if we don't see you April 27th. Tiny.
I missed part of
We
it.
gonna boycott Peacebrook if we don't see you April 27th watching the story of the West Side with the family. You gotta come outside. You gotta come be with the family, man. Or we boycotting Peacebrook. Tiny.
All right. Hey, if I see you with the sign and marching back and forth, I know what it's about.
You already know.
Alan Evans.
All right, Dan.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, Bob.
Yes, sir. We just trying to hold you accountable, Barry. That's all. We just trying to hold you accountable too.
Holding someone accountable is holding them accountable to something that they've taken on.
Yeah, you've taken on building Peacebrook and the story of the West Side. So we want you to be a part of the story of the West Side. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
What was it?
He said sometimes you gotta break bread right at the same table with people.
I'm gonna put up my headphones so I can hear you.
I'm gonna
No, I got you, Barry. We'll talk
I'm
later
gonna
about
have to duck out of here, man. I gotta put my son to bed.
it. Yeah, facts. Tiny.
You rapping.
Tiny, come on. I see it.
Can't get it through. Go to the next.
Yeah. Looks like the last one. Wally, you there?
Guess not.
Monk.
Yo, good show. I'm in agreement with, 95%, what everybody said on the show, you feel me? I definitely support, you feel me, you got a documentary coming out, right?
Yes, sir, brother. And I just need to say, man, we disagree on something. This is where our people need to get to. We disagree on some points. But I swear to God, brother, I love you. I love your passion, man. Like, any way I can support you, I swear to God, I would do it. You see what I'm saying? Like, we can disagree with each other on some points and still be family and still work toward the same goal. Like, I swear to God, brother, I got nothing but love and respect for you and everything that you said. I swear to God.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, same here, bro. All love, bro.
Yes, sir. Steve.
Hey, I think everybody had their great points. We took it from the streets right here on the vision ambassador to the global side of the problem. But all I want to say is everybody's black.
Yup.
Because before there was light, there was always darkness.
Yes, sir.
And everybody came from black.
Yeah, and Pangea.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Hey.
I love my people, man. I love the West Side of Chicago. There's no place like this in the world. And
West Side, best side.
yes, sir. Please come out and support.
Yep. April 27th, come out and support. For me, I'm just saying, like, yeah, I appreciate everything that was said tonight. Unity is most needed amongst our people. We got to start passing some torches. I feel really good about being an elected official now and being in a position where people will be able to listen to my voice a lot closer, and I'll be scrutinized more. But I'm gonna keep saying the same stuff, and I'm not gonna change the who I am in the regard of we need to, have young and old build generational bridges so that we can come together. We need our stages, and we need our young people to be on the streets, lead out in front, because they are the revolutionaries. And we need our middle-aged folks like myself to be the stopgap in between, to hold it up until the young people ready. And so with that, I'd like to say thank you all for joining Northwest House Council. We do this thing every Sunday from 6 to 8. We have multiple ways to interact with the show. We got the Facebook, the YouTube, and the Zoom. As I said in the beginning, please share, man. Stop holding it to yourself. Let's grow this thing out. It's the second year we've been doing it. We get more people involved, and we want more people involved. This ain't nothing but the truth that we're talking about. In closing, listen, we always got open seats at the table. We just trying to welcome y'all on home. Thank y'all for allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, all. Absolutely. Beer. Man, that was fucking great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I enjoyed myself.